Enlisted introduced the Guerrilla squad last year, a swashbuckling crew with increased TNT charges and free reign into the enemy gray zone. Currently, in addition to some event and premium squads, each nation has a single Guerrilla 2 squad with a 5.3% sprint speed bonus. But what if we also got Guerrilla 1 and Guerrilla 3s? In this video, we'll be exploring how that could be done. Strap yourselves in. Let's begin with the basics. What kind of perks should Guerrilla 1 and Guerrilla 3 soldiers have? Since the Guerrilla 2s have a 21, 16, 19 perk distribution, let's give Guerrilla 1s 19, 16, 17, and Guerrilla 3s 22, 17, 20. As for default perks, this could honestly be pretty flexible, but why not give the Guerrilla 1s an 8% reload speed bonus, and Guerrilla 3s the 35% climbing speed that also exists for the Legacy Assaulter 1 class. Again, I don't really have strong feelings on the default perks, but what do you guys think the default perks should be? Let me know in the comments. Now, you'll obviously notice that these perk distributions are very high, and I think that makes sense for Guerrillas. A squad with only 5 soldiers doesn't get access to select fire rifles or assault rifles, and whose specialty involves not being present at the objective should be effective at indirect counterplay. You know what else would benefit this indirect counterplay? Suppressed weapons. We have previously seen an uproar with suppressed weapons being added to the tech tree, specifically the PPSH-41S, but as far as I know, it was because it would have been the only suppressed weapon in any tech tree, and that it realistically doesn't have any drawbacks to the non-suppressed PPSH-41. I believe the tech tree could have suppressed weapons added, which these new Guerrilla squads could be unlocked from, with the following rules. These weapons are exclusive to Guerrillas, and generally have slow rates of fire with low recoil and dispersion for their respective battle ratings. To add a little bit of spice, the Guerrilla 1s would be unlocked from suppressed bolt-action rifles found at BR1. The first we will mention is the Soviet M9130 Barmesk Linen. This is an experimental suppressor tested in 1942, and while I think the Brommet would have made more sense in the tech tree, it already exists as a Cold Order weapon. Perhaps they could be named and model swapped, but otherwise have identical stats. The Allies would receive the American Springfield M1903 with Maxim silencer. The Maxim silencer was tested by the US military on an M1903 in 1910. The Maxim silencer would eventually be sold commercially, both domestically and across the globe. Also, Maxim silencers were supposedly used by both sides in World War I. If that is true, we could certainly also get a British Enfield P14 with a Maxim silencer as well, but I've yet to find any photo evidence of such a claim. Moving on to the Axis, we get the German Kar98K with L27 silencer. This was the first of a handful of suppressors developed by copying the Soviet Brommet device, and was intended for use with every German 8mm small arm feasible. This is also the same suppressor found on the STG-44S in the premium BR5 Guerrilla squad. Now, I tried to find something for the Italians too in my research, but I simply couldn't find anything. I searched for interwar tests, specialized equipment or prototypes, and even captured partisan equipment, but I couldn't find anything concrete. If I was a betting man, I would say a Carcano with a Maxim silencer, a Springfield M1903 with Maxim silencer, or a Kar98K with an L23 or L27 would be the most suitable thing to give them. And finally, we move on to the Japanese. We know that in August of 1931, the Japanese tested a Type 38 Arasaka rifle equipped with a foreign silencer design. There isn't any indicator as to which it was, but it was probably either an early Maxim silencer like the 1909 model, or a newer 1929 Parker Maxim silencer from Britain. Whichever silencer it was, a Type 38 rifle mounted with a silencer would be the obvious choice for the Japanese Guerrilla 1s. Now we move on to the new BR3 SMGs that would be unlocked alongside the Guerrilla 3s. Now keep in mind, these weapons without the suppressor would be more comparable to BR2 SMGs, but the suppressor's integrated low threat level feature that affects enemy bot aggression is a huge factor in the balancing of these weapons at a higher BR. Otherwise, they would be the obvious choice without any trade-offs. The Soviets get something quite interesting, the PPT-27 Brommet. Compared to the premium version of this weapon at BR1, this PPT-27 has far less kick, meaning the 1200 rounds per minute rate of fire is more controllable. At BR3, this weapon has monstrous trading potential, but requires consistent reloads. The Allies get an American and a British option. First, the American M3A1 Suppressed uses the same silencer barrel as the M3 Suppressed, but on the updated grease gun design. Silencer aside, these stats are obviously quite similar to the M3A1 grease gun at BR2. The other weapon is the Sten Mark 6S. A far higher quality and sturdier design than its predecessors, the Sten Mark 6S has far better recoil and dispersion than the other Sten guns, as it's directly based off of the Sten Mark 5. For the Axis, the first option is the MP40 silenced L41. This is a different suppressor design from the one in the event squad, which is likely the L43. These two silencers have different design philosophies, as the L41 uses large rubber baffles similar to the Brommet device and the L27 we mentioned earlier, while the L43 uses many metal baffles like the modern suppressors. There's also an Italian option, the Beretta M38A40 Stilanziatore. Yes, it competes directly with the M38A40 at the same battle rating, but this weapon has worse damage at 6.7 instead of 6.8, as well as worse dispersion at 0.81 versus 0.65. The Japanese silenced SMG is pure speculation on my part, the Type 100 silence. This is a Type 100 early with an M1929 Parker Maxim suppressor, like the one possibly used on the Type 38 silenced rifle. Unless there's information out there about a captured silenced SMG that is far less speculative, this is our best option. And one last thing worth mentioning, can we make guerrillas more viable in the current game? The idea of using a guerrilla is to commit to actions in the gray zone, which is more valuable than playing the objective, but this is often not the case. So why don't we give guerrillas targets in the gray zone that directly affect the outcome of the battle? In Invasion, have gray zone targets that reduce attacker tickets or lengthens defender spawn times. In Confrontation, have targets that reduce tickets or spawn rate on both sides. In Conquest, have targets both in and outside the gray zone that reduce tickets, with further targets draining more tickets. This could be a great way to divert players from just being forced to play the objective to determine a win condition. And there you have it. More guerrillas, more suppressed rifles, and more suppressed SMGs. I think that these additions could really add to the dynamics of the current game, but what do you think? Should Enlisted get more tech tree guerrilla squads? Should we get tech tree silenced weapons, and should they be exclusive to the guerrilla soldier class? Should we get targets for guerrillas to help shift the course of battle? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you all in the next video.